Hi, welcome to Brian Sews. Today I'm going to be talking about Y-back tank tops and the new pattern I've been working on. If you're not sure what a Y-back tank top is, that is exactly what I'm wearing now. See, it's a Y in the back. I think you see this tank top a lot in gyms and workout wear and whatnot. I was looking for new tank tops for the summer and I couldn't find what I was looking for. Generally that's how all these projects start. You can't find what you're looking for. I mean, I did find it. When you search for Y-back tank tops online, you'll find a lot of, they're like little muscle shirts with very thin little strings, and the armholes come all the way down to here, and the Y-back goes, all the way down, and it's got real beefy, big gym guys, and that's not what I'm looking for. The ones I did find, and I'll put some pictures of the ones I did find, were from a cool company out of Amsterdam, but they were going to cost me about $55 to $60 to have them shipped. And the problem is that I really need a small size for around my body, but I need long since I'm tall. And if I order a small, generally they'll be like up to here, and that's just not going to work out very well. Especially, I mean, I might have tried an experiment, but for $60, I thought, you know what I should do is just make my own pattern. And that's exactly what I did. So I pulled out the Wild Ginger software and I took my t-shirt pattern, and I basically just took and started working with the lines and drawing them in where I really wanted them to be. The first prototype is the one I'm wearing now, and this one you can see here. I'll walk a little closer so you can see some of the detail. I just used a straight stitch to put on the binding, and the Y is, everything is, it worked out really well. In fact, this version was extremely encouraging. I also used this stretchy poly knit. I don't know where I got. I think this was in Alabama. It's like a poly lycra. I probably paid $1 a yard for it. This stuff is hard to mess up. Like it's very forgiving for all kinds of mistakes. But I knew that this wasn't exactly what I wanted. Like I wanted it to match the picture or the inspiration as much as possible, if not improve on that. And I was looking for something that was a little bit lower in the back. It didn't cut in quite as close under the arm right here. So I've got a whole bunch of prototypes to show you. You'll have to excuse me, this is the second time I made this video. The first time the audio was out of sync, and then the audio eventually quit working, and this is the second go around. It's gonna be very casual. So let me show you what the second prototype looks like here. The second one I made out of this pink, I don't know what this stuff is. This looks like a Walmart find. It was, it's really thick. I don't know if I want to wear this in the summer. It's almost like it's a rib knit, but it's almost like a thermal on the back or something. Let me see if I can show you the texture of the back. See if it'll adjust. So that texture is really in the front. It's kind of ribbed. Anyway, it makes it very thick. Very, very thick. For the binding I used, this feels like a lycra, maybe rayon lycra. This one, I adjusted the arms so they were lower, and the Y back, I think I made a little bit lower as well. I blind hemmed the bottom of this one. The first one I didn't hem at all. This one I blind hemmed and realized that it wasn't, blind hemming isn't stretchy enough to do a shirt like this, because you've really got to yank it and to get it over your head. I did a straight stitch binding again. I was still experimenting with how I was going to put the binding on. And the straight stitch binding is okay as long as you don't break the stitches. If you break the stitches, then the binding comes off. So this was the second go around. I'll show you what I was still doing. I'm still constructing it, so let me show you here. The serging here, I'm putting the binding all the way around and then serging the sides closed. Kind of like how you would do a t-shirt where you close up the sides last. What I don't like about that is that you can still, no matter how well you tuck in your serge tails, you can still see the little serge tails there. And the same thing here at the bottom. What I did was I blind hemmed the front and back panel and then serged all the way down. And it's just not, you see that in a lot of ready to wear, but it's just, to me, it doesn't seem as finished. It's certainly not a $50 tank top finish. I'll show you the next one here. So with this version, I fixed, oh no, I didn't do that on this one. This one I was still doing that. I was still putting the binding on and then serging the sides. But on this version, I did cover stitching. So you can see I cover stitched there. Show the inside here. And I wasn't sure how much, I was still experimenting with how much binding to cut. And so I ended up with a big flap of extra binding on the inside. So I straight stitched that down here, which, let me see if it's mirrored here. It's an interesting detail, but it wasn't exactly what I was looking for. Besides that, this fabric is a cotton lycra, it feels like. Fits really well and it's really comfortable to wear. And the binding is a rayon knit. I think I found I like rayon knit bindings a lot. They're nice and soft. Let's see. The next version. This is just a plain cotton knit. Maybe see how it's kind of ribbed. Straight cotton without any lycra in it. It's definitely not as stretchy. I used a cotton knit for the binding on this one as well, and you can see the cotton was fairly thick. Let's see if you can see that there. It's fairly thick, and it's also kind of stiff and has almost no stretch to it. It's not like it's uncomfortable to wear, but it doesn't feel soft next to your skin. Something else I was noticing is that under here especially, I was getting this kind of sagginess under the arm, which I was associating on this version with just being that the binding itself wasn't stretching. And I've just determined later on that was probably due to the pattern itself. But it gaps a little bit here in the back and here in the front. So you get a little bit of this little droopiness here, which, you know what, it doesn't really matter. If I was to like wear this out, I'm not going to be embarrassed by my neckline drooping a little bit. But if I was to buy it, I certainly wouldn't want it that way. On this version also, let's see if I still put the binding on all the way around and then serged the side, but I serged the whole side and then I did the cover stitching around the bottom seam here, which I determined I liked a lot better. So let me show you the next one. On all these, I'm not just changing my sewing techniques, I'm changing the actual fit, which as I'm looking at myself doing these videos, it's all pretty subtle for you to see. And maybe it won't, maybe what I should do is put on the first and the last one again so you can really see that. This fabric itself is really cute, these dinosaur heads. I think I got this at Walmart or, I don't know, Hancock's or something. Again, the lycra rayon binding. And this one's actually really nice. I like it a lot. Still haven't figured out how to avoid this situation, right here, where you've got your serging coming up to the top. Hadn't figured that out by this version. But for the most part, it all looks pretty good. Cover stitch the bottom, and I've decided at that point I like that, and cover stitch these. Looks like I've also reduced the side of the binding here on these. So. Oh yeah. This is the first one where I feel like I've significantly changed the drop in the back. And you can see it's coming down quite a bit further. What I really want is my entire shoulder blade to be exposed. This is the first version also where I determined that I could, I'll show you here, put the binding, so serge up the side seam and then bind around that so you don't see the serging at the top. What I didn't figure out, you see how it's a little loose there. What I didn't figure out is that you've got the serging, you serge up the side, then to do the binding, you end up overlapping on top of, they overlap the binding there a little bit. Well, I was kind of overlapping, I don't know, a good 1.5 inches. You don't need that. You need like, I don't know, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, just enough binding to cover itself. What's starting to happen is that it was getting so thick there, it was one, creating heaviness, but two, there's no stretch in that area. Oh, plus that was also where I was starting and stopping the cover stitching. So So I've got 2 layers of cover stitching, 2 layers of binding, and the serge seam coming up right under the arm here. And the problem with this area is that with the back scooped the way it is, there's not much pulling, there's not much support to pull. How do I show you this? Like to pull that down here. There's not much to do that because there's, this whole back area is missing here, so there's nothing to just pull that across. So if the fit's not exactly right there, and you have any extra fabric or weight or anything, and especially, it's been hot here, if you get sweaty, your tank top gets moist under here, then it's kind of wet and soggy, you'll get these saggy armpits, which it's not really what I want. So this is the first time I did the binding over the top of the serge side seams, and it seemed to work out really well. Also getting much better at getting my bottom hem in the cover stitching. This is the inside, of course, and the outside here. So as you know, if you know anything about cover stitching, you have to cover stitch from the right side, and you can't see the back side, and you just have to, it's just practice makes perfect, I guess. Let me show you the next one. On the first video, I had it all done where you didn't have to see me putting on each version, but like I said, I'm feeling, after doing a half hour of video editing and having the audio sync problem, a little bit lazy for that. So, this one, I really like this fabric, these fluorescent stars, and I wore this one on 4th of July. It's not exactly patriotic, but, stars, I guess. Again, I was having problems, and I know you can't really see in the video, I was having a lot of problems with this area here. I'm not sure if this is the version I fixed this in. I think it was this is the version where I was really decided I was kind of unhappy, because if my shoulders come together, it gaps there in the back, and as you move, you always feel like you're kind of pulling and straightening, and I don't feel like you should have to continually adjust your clothes to fit your body as you wear them. Like, I want to be able to walk down the street, put my arms up, down, back, forwards, do whatever I'm going to do, and feel like whatever I'm wearing falls back into exactly where it's supposed to be on my body, or stays where it's supposed to be to begin with. I don't want to, it's irritating to always have to be like pulling things down and adjusting straps and pulling this and doing this. And on the next version I'll show you, that was something I was doing. I wore it yesterday. These take about, 45 minutes to whip out one of these things. So what I've been doing is just doing, one every couple days and wearing it and seeing what I think. This one is made out of rib knit. Super cute with these little motorcycles on it. Very cute fabric. And by the way, I saved all the cutest fabric for when I had the pattern finalized, and this is almost here. What I figured out on this one is my Y back, you see the Y here is much tighter against my skin. What I figured out was I was making my Y too wide. I don't know why, I don't know why. It was too wide. And what was happening is, because it was fine if I was going to wear the straps out here, but since that's not where the straps are going to naturally fall on my body, I needed to bring the Y in to reduce that amount of fabric there. So brought the Y in, so that now when the straps are falling where they would naturally just fall anyway, the Y stays fairly flat against my body. This pattern though, so I figured out moving the overlapping and the double cover stitching away from the underarm. But you see what I've got here, and especially with this this rib knit, this is a major issue. It's just too much fabric right here. And I was at work wearing it, and sometimes, it's one thing to try on, that's why I like to test out stuff when I wear it. Because it's one thing to just try it on, look in the mirror a few times, feel like, yeah, yes, and then take it off and make some changes. It's another thing to realize you've got something that's probably wearable, it's not indecent in any way, and to wear it all day, and to suffer with it and all of its problems throughout the whole day, because then you're thinking about it for not just a few minutes while you're in front of the mirror, you're thinking about it continually. You're seeing, okay, what am I having to do to this thing to make this work for me for the entire day? And what I realized was that I had adjusted the back here to be tighter, because you can see I've also taken this down so that my shoulder blades are now completely exposed, which is what I was looking for. And I had adjusted this back area thinking this would pull in the extra fabric from the front. Well, it pulled in whatever fabric I had from the back, and you can see my sides, I don't know if you can see this. My side seam, where is it? Right here, is perfectly aligned where it should be. But what I've got is extra fabric here. And yesterday, all I kept doing was pinching this, thinking, God, I wish I should just pull the serger down at work here and just serge this off. And then I was thinking, no, I need to go home and I need to make the video, and then I'll serge it off. Because I think this one's pretty cute, so I do want to keep it. But it made me realize I had too much fabric in the front here. And I was also thinking, the front of the tank top, I like to be wide. I don't want to be, in like this. I'm not wearing this to the gym, and I don't it looks too feminine for me. That's not what I'm looking for. But I feel like this version, you can see on this side, I feel like it comes in just a little too far into the crease here. Like, I'd like it to just be out just a little bit more. I don't know. So what I did in the pattern was I pinched out this extra fabric. I say in the pattern, in the software, I redrafted to pinch out this extra fabric, which then brings this side out. And I'll show you, this is the final version that I think, this is the real deal. I can't see any other changes I would make to this. So the length is just exactly where I want it. It could be like a smidge longer depending on if the fabric shrinks or not. The neckline, to me, is perfect. The shoulders are sitting perfect. I really like see how thin the fabric is right here between the between the two sides of binding. That's exactly what I want. I want just a little whisper of fabric there. You can see here in the front, right here. Sorry, this is mirrored, so I'm having trouble. It's not cutting quite so close in to my armpit here, but however, it's still providing what I would consider like a decent cut here. I don't want this to be like, how do I do this here? I don't want it to be like this in the front. I want it to be nice and covered here in the front, yet when you go to the back, it's quite clear you've got lots of room here under the arm. You'll notice the back here, this is perfectly flat against my back. Fits in, it fits like a glove really. And taking out that extra bit of fabric here created just the tightness I needed to fit right through here. I started with a t-shirt pattern, which is why I had all this extra ease here. When you have a t-shirt, you've got to move your arms. Your t-shirt body has to move to help. It kind of has to move to accommodate for that. I guess you could make a t-shirt that doesn't, but my t-shirt is a little roomy in this area just for extra comfort. But when you're wearing a tank top, obviously your arms have free movement. You don't need your tank top to move around. And this one doesn't move around anywhere. I'm gonna wear it today so I can give you a full report, I suppose. But I can just tell when I put it on. When you put on something, and I said this before, when you put on something that fits you the right way, it feels like you don't want to take it off. You're like, wow, that is. I imagine for women, from what I hear from friends and whatnot, having bras fitted is really difficult. And I imagine when you finally get that one that fits you like you feel like you should be fitted, you probably feel like you never want to take it off. And that's exactly how this tank top feels. It feels like it's just got all the right tightness in all the right areas, enough looseness in just the right areas where you don't feel like it's, skin tight. It's perfect. Just exactly what I wanted. So let me see if I can. I wonder what would happen if I put this one over the top of the one I'm wearing, and we can see if we can see any differences. Or I wonder if I should do it the other way, since I think the other one's smaller. So let's see what we see here. I actually see that the first version was a little bit lower in the neck, and on the armholes. Cut in a little bit further here. Let's see what the back looks like. The back, as you can see, was more narrow here, but let's see, where's the actual, quite a bit taller here at the armholes. So there's not a huge, it's interesting, there's not a huge difference between these two. Especially when I'm wearing both of them, it looks almost exactly the same. But there was 9 distinct versions between this first one here and the one I'm wearing underneath it. It just goes to show you that to get the perfect fit and to get things to be exactly the way you want them, it takes making up a lot of different mock-ups to get to the final version. And and the reason why, probably because I can wear all these, is because they aren't that much different. If the first one had been, grotesquely off, see here, I want to show you the difference here. So this is what the shoulder seam on the inside used to look like. So that's not pretty at all. And the shoulder seam on this one, if you can even find it, looks like that. So the binding itself looks really, let's see here. It's a little bright to see it. There we go. The binding itself looks really professional on the inside. I've reduced all the excessive fabric there. My cover stitching is looking amazing. There's no extra serging tails sticking out anywhere. And that's the other thing, is that, making 9 prototypes to me is not a waste of time at all, because now when I go to sew one of these and I pick out some really super cute fabric that I may have actually paid $5 for, I know that I've had enough practice making these now where I can just sit down and whip them out, and the sewing itself looks perfect. Like I don't have any worries there, because I've done all the practice I needed to get to the point where I feel confident to do the real ones. So, I don't think there's anything else I want to say about this. Looking around here. Oh, you know what? I did want to mention this stuff. I found this at Joann's. It's just a regular, looks like ribbed on one side. There you go, you can see it there. Ribbed, it's kind of a rib knit. It looks like a polyester rib knit. I don't know that it has any spandex in it or anything. I bought a yard of this stuff. This is what this one is bound in. And I've been using it for binding, and I love it. It's awesome. It's not as soft as like not as soft as a rayon knit, but it's got a little bit more heft to it. And what I did on this one actually is some of the other versions, had that dipping neckline here. And one of the only ways I found to avoid that is to slightly stretch the binding as you go just through the spot of the neck. I also did just slightly stretch it just as I went through right here at this curve. And I've learned that from doing t-shirts, is that if you don't want that little smile, that little dip there, just give it just a little tiny bit. If you give it too much, it'll actually pull the neck up and make it smaller, or it'll give you a little gathered look, which is, if you've got it gathered, you're definitely pull it way, way too much. So that's it. So that's my tank top project. I'll post pictures of the patterns and the inspirations on the blog, and hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Bye.